We're back for another Brew with a Blue here on Thursday morning. And delighted to say joining me today, as you'll be able to see, is Adam Jones, Liverpool Echo. Adam, thanks very much for coming on.
Oh no, thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to get you on. Before we hit record, we were just talking about one of our videos earlier this week. Our very good friend Rob Vera and his stand-up desk, and I'm not the only one blown away by that. You find it a bit mad as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, I suppose he does get the benefits from it, from having his, good posture and it's sorted out his back issues and everything like that. But standing up for all that time while working, it's not something that I'd be able to do.
It's hard enough to match, isn't it? When there's like a game for 90 minutes when everyone's stood up as it is against that age now, we're starting to feel my knees and everything. So fair dues to Rob in that regards. But yeah, you haven't seen that video. I made a playlist yesterday on the YouTube channel, so they're all there. Rob's and everybody else's Brews with a Blue, and we're just here to basically have a chat again. And sort of how's it all going, Adam? Obviously, people will know you're a great reporter for Everton. You used to go to press conferences, going to games, being at events and that sort of stuff. How are you finding being isolating and not being able to do all that?
It's strange. It's it's a completely new environment that I never kind of expected for this job. Just even this environment of working from home all the time, you get into that routine of just going into the office every day, seeing all the people that you work with, having close contact with the people on your desk as well. It's such a big thing when you're in a newsroom because that inter-desk communication is sort of key as well. So we've essentially just translated that to WhatsApp, and there's a few kinks that we've been working around over the last few weeks, and yeah, it is just weird because when you're a sport reporter, you kind of expect to be able to report on sport at some point, but yeah, it's just a whole new way of trying to come up with ideas, trying to engage with the audience, find something that the audience want to be reading at this time. Because obviously, while there's an understanding that there's a lot of bigger things going on than football at the minute, we are still all connected by the fact that we're Everton fans and that we're football fans as well. So there's obviously going to be some sort of interest there as well. So it's about connecting with the audience as much as possible, finding those little ideas and trying to work from there.
And I think it's interesting you said about being in the newsroom, because I imagine, because the Echo's got such a huge online presence now, and you sort of saying how you're not necessarily used to working from home. I imagine people would think that you can do a lot of your work remotely, and the coverage you're putting out at the moment suggests you can. But you guys do work in an office, don't you? So you're used to that human to human contact as well, which I imagine a lot of people don't realise about what you do.
Well, that's it. Like, we can do a lot of our stuff from home, and I suppose that's where we're lucky in this sense. And I'd never complain about our situation at the minute because there's a lot of people who can't work at the minute, and that's awful at this. It's such a difficult time. So I'll never complain, and I will say that we are lucky that we can do a lot of our work from home. But the office environment just provides something that little bit different, and it is, like you say, that sort of human to human contact. And when you're not having that day by day, I mean, again, it's a little bit different for me because I live with somebody I work with as well. So I do still have a little semblance of that, at least whenever we're on shift together. But there'll be some people who are working, with their families. A lot of people on our desk have got young families at the minute, so it's a completely different environment for them. So it's just about, especially for us on a desk, we're trying to communicate as much as possible. We're gonna set up a little quiz on it at the weekend and just have a bit of downtime and try and reconnect with each other again. So there are things that we are still trying to work around, but as I say, we are quite lucky in our circumstance still.
How are you finding the coverage in general? Because obviously it is a peculiar time, like you said, and we're finding this out ourselves. You've got to fill the space of actual football matches, which so much of the coverage revolves around. But are you sort of getting a sense from your viewers and your listeners to the Royal Blue podcast that the people are clinging on to this sort of semblance of Everton and this ability to get Everton content more than ever? Or do you feel as though more people are just sort of disconnected from football and trying to just have a few months without it for a bit?
I think there's evidence for both, really. But I think, over the last few weeks, we've just seen the ideas for our content shift a little bit more than, like, people, obviously without football on at the minute, and there's obviously a kind of need for us to report on what will happen to the game in the future, whether this season is going to continue, what's going to happen to next season. There's obviously an inherent need for us to report on that whenever there are updates. But
Yeah.
aside from that, it is just trying to find new sort of Everton avenues, because at the end of the day, we are all still Everton fans. You know, I think the club, especially, have managed to transform themselves brilliantly over the last few weeks, and they've managed to present themselves in this sort of new way. You know, these aren't players, just coaches and staff anymore. They are, you know, Everton representatives, and they're all acting in that manner on their social media channels. So I think we as a brand have had to try and transform ourselves in a little bit of a similar way. If that sort of makes sense. You know, we've just been trying to focus on, you know, newer styles of content, you know, bit of nostalgia, a bit of longer reads sort of stuff, and there is still a massive interest about stuff like that, because, as I've said, like, we are all connected with the fact that we are still Everton fans. There's still a lot of love for Everton in the community, so, you know, people will always read Everton content in my head anyway.
Yeah, I suppose it's something I've asked a few of our guests on this, but just sort of get the sense that this absence and this void we're sort of all feeling now. And, you know, I was watching some of the games this week, you know, the Jagielka game against Arsenal last year, where he scores the goal, you know, the 3-0 when obviously the club streamed last night. And we're getting to the point of the season now where we seem to have lots of good memories and lots of good on this day. You know, we've got the United 4-0 one coming up. I believe it was the 4-1 of the semi-final against Tottenham today. Which they won in 1995. And you're seeing all these games at this point of the year. You look outside, you can see the weather, and you think back to days like Man United last year, where, you know, it was Easter Sunday, we won 4-0, everyone had a great time. I feel as though this void, coupled with the period of the year we are in now, is sort of going to make everyone feel a lot more grateful when we do get back to it all and do get back to the regular grind of going the match again. And maybe even for a fan base like Everton that is rooted in cynicism, we might not all be as cynical as we used to be.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think absence makes the heart grow fonder, doesn't it? And, you know, we, like, as much as we are cynical, like, we can't stay away from Everton for this long. Like, it just doesn't feel right. And especially, as you say, when we're coming to the back end of this season now, there was still stuff for Everton to play for this season. You know, only 6 points away from Europe. You know, you feel like there is a missing ending to this absolute roller coaster of a season. You know, since Carlo Ancelotti took over, obviously things have changed massively, and you're just thinking to yourself, surely we would have had some great moments from now until the end of the season. But yeah, it does make it difficult. I think it just makes it difficult for everyone at the minute. You know, just having some absolutely amazing weather outside. It would not be Great Britain if as soon as we're locked down, the weather instantly improves. And as soon as lockdown ends, I've got no doubt in my mind that it'll be absolutely pouring down with rain. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking there about what you said about sort of the incomplete nature of this season. I think like a few of the seasons we've had in recent years, you know, have felt just extremely long because we've changed managers. There's been like, you know, we've had long summers where we've done Europa League from, you know, July onwards and that sort of thing. I mean, this one's going to trump all of them, isn't it? In regards to, we'll look back on it and it will literally feel like it might literally be 2 years at this rate.
yeah, it probably is. And, like, you know, as I say, we have had a roller coaster season, but we're kind of used to that over the last few years. You know, obviously we had that huge period of stability under David Moyes, and since then it's just been so many ups and downs and twists and turns. And, you know, you can only get your fingers crossed that as soon as we've got, you know, all this coronavirus stuff out the way and Carlo can actually focus on the matters on the pitch, then hopefully we can have some semblance of stability again, because goodness, don't we need it.
Yeah, and one thing I did notice that you put out, I think it might have been a week or two ago now, and you couldn't get away from doing your player ratings, could you? I believe it was the game for the Norwich game the club put out.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you must miss those interactions you have with supporters so much in regards to the player ratings.
Well, that was the first like throwback game that Everton had screened. So I was thinking to myself, there's got to be a way that we can do something around this. And I'd never seen that game myself. You know, obviously, I wasn't born at the time, and, you know, I had no way of watching that game after the fact. So it was a nice way for me to just try and watch, you know, one of Everton's most famous sides in action. And I thought it'd be an interesting little twist to see if I could rate the players after that. I literally had no idea about the scoreline. I had no idea about anything that happened in that game. So the ratings were all as I would have rated them if it was today's players playing that match. And I didn't get any abuse for that. So maybe the tides have changed.
Did you miss it a little bit? Was you a bit gutted you didn't get any? I imagine it must be quite strange to do a player ratings feature and not to have some sort of comments in your Twitter feed or on your Instagram or something.
I was half expecting some of them, but I think I was just going to take anything tongue in cheek for those ones. Like player ratings are just they're sometimes the bane of my life. Like quite honestly, because there are some games in particular. Like there's some game, the worst ones are when we lose, but we haven't exactly played badly. And there's no player on the pitch who's played necessarily badly. Because we've lost, people, like, pretty understandably, I suppose, would expect, like, a low player rating from me.
So it was like a 3-2 game against Arsenal recently, like that sort of game.
Yeah. There were like a couple of standout performances where you're thinking, he should have done better, I think, like, Sidibe made a few mistakes for the goals in that game, so I was thinking, right, okay, he's deserving of this kind of mark, but it's when I put up a player rating and let's say I've given a player a 6 or something like that, and people will be vehemently adamant that I should have given them a 5, and I just don't know what to say to people sometimes. Like it's all just a matter of opinion, isn't it? We can have 100 people watch a match and we could have 100 different opinions of how each player has played. So yeah, it's just something that you've got to take on the chin, I suppose. And I do enjoy doing them at the end of the day. Like, and there are games where like I'll get just a wealth of praise for my player ratings as well. So they're also quite nice.
There you go, yin and yang in that regard. So let's chat about your kit. Then you're the second person on this feature to not don an Everton kit. After Jack Carlisle yesterday, actually had the France away one on. You've gone for a Dortmund away number.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of buying football shirts a lot of the time. So my range of Everton kits especially isn't large. Like I got 2 like training tops bought for me at Christmas, and I've got like a retro 80s top. So I was thinking to myself, like I think I've got a bigger wealth of other teams kits. Like I've got a Germany one, a France one, I've got 2 Dortmund ones. I would have worn the other Dortmund one. I did have like a yellow and black striped one. I think they wore it in the Champions League in like 2012, maybe something like that.
Makes me think of Lewandowski's 4 goals against Real Madrid that year. Yeah, 2013.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, but because I've had that kit for so long, like all the sponsors have washed off and everything like that. So I thought to myself, I'll wear a bit more of a modern one and go for this black away number, which I'm a huge fan of, to be honest.
Just quickly on the washing stuff. So when I've been doing these videos, I've been trying to go through my range of kits which I've got in the wardrobe. Obviously, I've been wearing them. I've sort of been keeping them on to go like for a run or do exercise or whatever, and lashing them in the wash. And all the numbers are coming off because they've just been like in me wardrobe for so long, and a lot of them have been worn for ages. So I've got like a retro Holland one there of like 14 on the back. And, like the numbers peeling off the back of it. It's like, oh no, it's absolutely devastating.
Well, that's it. You're gonna have to take it out of your cycle now and just like preserve it. Just
I know, yeah.
Frame it, get it on your wall, and then that's it.
Disappointed. But that Dortmund one, is that from last season? Is it, or is it this year?
I don't know. It's probably not from. It's probably not from last season. It's probably the season before. Yeah, I think I've had this for a good number of years as well now. To be honest.
Got a bit of a soft spot for Dortmund, I think, haven't you? I've seen you mention them quite a lot on Twitter, and obviously you said you've got the kits. Have you been over there to watch a game as well?
I haven't. I went to Munich, and we went to watch Augsburg against Werder Bremen when we were there.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, I've just got an affinity for German football, to be honest. I'm a big fan of the Bundesliga. So it was probably sparked by that, Dortmund Munich Champions League final season. Like I loved watching both of them get to the Champions League final. Obviously, I wanted Dortmund to win by the time they got there, but yeah, like since then I've had quite an affinity with the Bundesliga. I really enjoy watching it. Still keep up with it to this day. So
Yeah. It's a shame that, especially I think a lot of leagues across Europe, have been ended with quite tight title races going on. Like Spain was quite a tight one. Italy, we had 3-horse race effectively with Juve. Inter dropped off a little bit, but Lazio were doing really well. And in the Bundesliga, it was the same, wasn't it? You had Bayern who were a bit ahead of the rest, but you had Leipzig who were having a great campaign. Obviously, they smashed Spurs in the Champions League, and Dortmund with Haaland doing dead well as well. So, bit gutting that it was the curtain came down on it, or has come down on it when it has.
Well, exactly. It was a pretty exciting Bundesliga season at the start of the year. You're thinking to yourself, are Leipzig going to be the team to try and catch? Because they started the season so well. And then
Gladbach have been doing really well, of course, as well.
Oh, exactly, yeah. And then Bayern Munich just do what Bayern Munich do and just like keep winning games, and they keep finding the way in the most important games. And I think they managed to get like 3 or 4 points clear by the time the season came to an end. But it was such an interesting dynamic with Dortmund as well. You were just going to see how Haaland was going to adapt to the league for the last few months of the season. So, yeah, it is a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see a bit of a 3-way battle for the Bundesliga title. Do you know what? I probably would have still said Bayern Munich were going to do it, because just for the last few years, I just can't bring myself to say anybody other than Bayern Munich's going to do it. So, yeah, but fingers crossed we'll be able to see football, across Europe come back fairly soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Definitely, yeah. Haaland, like you said, it could be a mad situation with him where he's played like 10 games for Dortmund and he might be on the move in the summer. I've seen reports about teams meeting his release clause already, so might have a really short Dortmund career. But on my kit, Adam, I picked this one out in particular because I don't know if you remember what day this was from, but you were speaking about it on Twitter recently. It was when me and yourself and a few others played at Goodison Park with Jamie Carragher. I think you shared a photo. Was it when everyone was doing the football person post, was it?
Yeah, I think we in work wanted, again, like trying to connect with fans as much as possible. We tweeted out, tweet a picture of you with, a famous Everton player or football player or I think it was Everton player actually, because I think I remember my caption was, well, he's not an Everton player, but he's an ex-Everton fan, so I'm having this one. He was in an Everton. He was on your team as well, wasn't he? Like the same kit you were wearing.
I was carrying him, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I nearly wore my top that I got from that day, but I wore it for a run yesterday. So I couldn't wear it in the end. But someday that
I'm just going to finish up and try and bit of a upbeat way to finish it. I mean, what were your memories of that? Because I just remember thinking this pitch is massive. Like you play 11 aside and you play 5 aside, and then you get out onto that pitch and you're like, no, I was playing left back for some reason that day, and I think I'm never going to slag Leighton Baines for not getting up that touchline ever again, or Seamus Coleman, because it is a long way to go.
Yeah, to be honest, I found it smaller than I was expecting. Like,
oh, really?
Because obviously, like when you play an 11-a-side game, because it's just like on a random field somewhere, obviously you're not expecting the pitch to be massive. But like when you go and you've only seen that pitch from like the context of a massive like 40,000 seater stadium where you've been sat in the stands, that when you get down and you're actually on that pitch, I remember thinking to myself, oh no, I can like run up and down this line, and like it kind of just felt like almost a normal like 11-a-side pitch, and especially by the second half, I think I moved up into left midfield by the time the second half kicked off. So like I felt more like I was just playing a normal 11-a-side game. Like I think first half I was just thinking to myself, I'm playing at Goodison here. This is absolutely ridiculous, and I didn't want to make a mistake in anything that I did. But then in the second half, like I just trying to forget that, and thankfully we beat you.
Well, there's
a Champions League winner cannot help you.
I'm just going to say there's a certain Blue Room contributor who played on our team, who played everybody on side for your team's winning goal. I'm not gonna throw them under the bus, but
Right.
I mean, if you want to, you're more than welcome.
Paddy Boylan.
There's video evidence on there, isn't there? I think it was the NSNO fan account. Someone filmed it from the stands.
They were filming it in the stands, weren't they?
I think it's Mark Mosey plays a through ball, doesn't he? And
Mark. Was it Mark
Yeah,
Dempsey?
Mark Dempsey, yeah, runs up to it and finishes, and Paddy's just stood there, you know.
Didn't he score like 5 of our 6 goals or something?
Yeah, he did. He's a really good player, Mark.
He was absolutely on fire, to be fair to him.
Yeah. We swapped goalies in the second half, I think, and our goalie gave a few away, you know, because we were 5-0, I think, at our time, and he sort of let you back into it, but, you know.
Yeah.
But Carragher was interesting, wasn't he? He was sort of playing at 50% throughout the whole day, and then in the last 2 minutes went full on. It was like, oh, hang on, yeah.
Carragher was playing like fully like just a lad from Bootle, because there was one moment where like I got the ball on the left wing, I cut inside, and I was fairly obviously trying to like shoot on my right foot from outside the box and like curl it, and like I had a couple of like fake attempts, and every time I was going to hit the ball, Carragher was going ah ah ah. It's like playing with a kid. This is insane. This man won the Champions League. It's just ludicrous.
Oh man, yeah. Like he was playing left centre back and I was left back, and he was just screaming at me all game. Push up, drop back, get tight, show. I was absolutely exhausted, like mentally by the end of it. Just went to bed with his voice ringing in me.
I was gonna say he's used to playing with some better quality of player all over the pitch than he had in that game, wasn't he?
Yeah, we'll try and dig that video out somewhere just to get Paddy embarrassed again anyway, albeit it's a heartbreaking moment for me and my team. But I've really enjoyed it, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. For people who are after a bit more, we're going to hear a bit more from Adam. He was on our Subs Weekly show earlier this week. Had some interesting discussions with Carl Roper and Mike Diaz about all sorts of things. That's over on Blue Room Extra. We have the weekly out on Wednesday. We also put our interview with Joe Royal out on his birthday yesterday on our free feeds as well. We've got 11s. We're doing our watch along for the Borussia Mönchengladbach game tonight at 6 o'clock now instead, because Everton conveniently scheduled their game alongside our hot mic, which is a bit annoying. But what can you do about that? So we're doing that tonight. So tune into Hot Mic for that. We've got mailbag, got kickabout, all sorts of things as well. We'll have another Brew with a Blue here tomorrow on our YouTube channel.